Hi Becky, how are you?
Hi, Jeff. Sorry, I couldn't get in. I wasn't sure if it was me or something else.
No, I think it was me.
Okay.
I do apologise.
No, that's okay.
I'm just gonna just try. I'm just gonna. Okay. Yeah, I think that was me. I think I might have had the wrong Zoom meeting.
It did say.
We're going to do your case.
Okay.
I haven't looked at it in
Yeah, sorry, I got it through so late last night, and that's my fault.
no, not a problem. Not a problem at all. Okay, not a problem at all. Okay. Let me share my screen. It's actually a very interesting case,
Hmm.
and it's not an easy case at all, I've got to say.
Oh, okay.
Okay, let me just move things across. Okay. Okay, and Naomi's on board as well. Okay. Okay. So can you see my screen, Beck?
Yeah.
Okay. So this girl is 21 years of age.
Yes.
Why don't you describe her malocclusion and her concerns?
Yep. So I'll talk about her concerns first.
Yeah.
Her concern was that she said that she's got a tooth hiding behind the other one, so like the crossbite.
Yep.
And she said it was actually causing decay to
Yep.
the tooth. Well, part of the reason. She said she's always had trouble cleaning it.
Yep.
And so she said, she's had enough of it. She wanted to have it straighter so that she can actually clean them properly. Now, one extra information to add as well is that since I started sort of working with her, we've obviously tried to sort of do the restorative stuff first.
Yep.
And her tutu, which is the one that her main complaint, it's actually requiring, it's actually basically, it's necrotic. So then she said to me that now for her treatment plan, she would prefer to just take that tooth out and then close the gaps rather than do a root canal treatment, given the amount of cost involved.
Yep.
And the other thing that I've now spoken to her as well is that she's obviously got a crossbite. And I said to her, do you, would you be interested to consider like a symmetrical extraction on the other side as well? And she said if that's something that's going to give a better result, then she would consider it, but it doesn't have to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Oh, they're really interesting points that you bring up because that was going to be part of my approach, in all honesty. Okay.
Okay. All right.
Okay. So we got a lot of so the occlusal views show a lot of crowding of the uppers,
Yes.
some minor crowding of the lowers, and spaces on the due to missing lower sixes.
Yeah.
So what does she want to do with regards to the missing spaces?
She's not fussed about them at all. She said that's actually not her concern. She wants those lower front teeth to be a little bit straighter, and that's pretty much it. She's not expecting space closure, and she's not going to do anything about it in terms of replacing anything in there.
Okay, so you're not even looking at bridges or anything else down the track?
No, not at this point. And from what she's telling me, it sounds like that's she wants to get this fixed up, and this is going to be her sort of her permanent solution. But she doesn't want to spend any more because she hasn't had trouble eating or anything like that.
Okay, okay. So we got the crowding in the upper anteriors, some minor crowding in the lower, and these large spaces
Yeah.
in the lower posterior segment. Okay, so when we look at her occlusal views, when we look at her front-on views, okay, she's got a little bit of a canter, a little bit of a slant on those upper centrals.
Yeah.
Significant crowding in the upper anterior region. Okay, so you've sort of jumped the gun quite a bit, but
Oh, okay.
no, but probably very appropriately here because you're dealing with a chief complaint. Okay,
Mm.
okay. So what we want to do is to plan her in two different ways. One way is if that wasn't a chief complaint,
Mm.
what would be the ideal treatment plan for her? And the
Yeah.
second way is how can we fix up that chief complaint and do it in the most efficient manner?
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
so let's go with the chief complaint approach for a second. Okay,
Yeah.
what is your critical path to success. If you're going to take out that upper left lateral, okay,
Yes.
and close up that space.
Yeah. My critical path to success would be to get that canine into a class 1 relationship.
Why?
Why? Because that's what you said.
Yeah. But
why? Because I guess if I have a class 1 canine, then I know that everything's going to fall and interdigitate and fall into place. Because right now it's not.
yeah, but that's on the basis. That's on the basis that you've got a full complement of anterior teeth. Okay. So if you
Oh, yes. Yeah, no, you're completely right. Because now I want this canine to look almost like a lateral, don't I?
exactly right. Exactly right. Okay.
Yeah.
So we're going to need to move that canine forwards.
Yeah.
And what else do we need to do?
Bring the canine forwards, and obviously the premolar now needs to come forward as well to sort of act like the canine.
Yep. What else? What else is going to happen?
Well, as I do that, those centrals will move back.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
Okay. So tell me the constraint in all of this.
The lower arch.
The lower anterior segment.
Yeah.
So we got two aspects here. Remember that there was a principle we talked about. You can't retract teeth unless you open the bite first.
Yeah.
So we've got to open the bite to allow us to at least do some retraction of the teeth, but we've also got this restraint here of the lower anterior segment. Okay. Otherwise, you're just going to be hitting those the upper anterior teeth with the lower anterior teeth.
Yep.
Going to happen. Okay. Okay. So let's jump down the track a little bit. What is it? Let's say her main concern is her upper left lateral, and she said to you, "I'm happy to take out the upper right lateral if that will give a better result." Correct?
Yes.
Okay. In your mind, is it going to make a difference or not?
Well, I think humans always like that sense of symmetry.
Exactly right. So from a restorative point of view, because let's say we move the canines forwards, okay? And I'm assuming because she's got some significant caries on the canines, on the buccal aspect, you're probably going to need to do some cosmetic work there.
Yes.
And ideally, to get a really good cosmetic result, you're going to need to, for want of a better phrase, lateralize the upper canines.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're going to need to trim down the incisal edge. Okay,
Yes.
Flatten it out. Okay, and make them look more like laterals, possibly even with a veneer on those two. Okay, now once again, we're going to jump down the track a little bit. What is from a cosmetic point of view here, what would be the limiting factor in getting a really good cosmetic result for her? What makes, in other words, what makes the situation when you've got a canine next to a central? What makes it look really funny? And we're going to do this in module 8. Yeah.
Well, the canine's a much bigger tooth.
Yeah, keep going.
A lot broader.
Yeah, keep going.
So I guess, the gingival margins.
Exactly.
The way they line up.
Yep. I'm just going to answer a question for a second. Yep. Manita just said exactly that. Also, the gingival margins. So one of the things, to get a really good cosmetic result here is to purposely extrude that canine.
Yes.
To the position that you would normally get with the lateral incisor. So your gingival margin might be a little bit, half a millimetre more coronal than the central incisor.
Yeah.
Okay. So you would extrude that, and then you would trim down the cusp.
Yeah.
And then you can do your cosmetic work and make it. And one of your advantages on these canines, it looks like, is they don't have a very bulbous surface. They're a bit flatter.
Yes.
So you're probably going to get a very nice aesthetic result.
Yeah.
Okay. So we need to extrude that. Okay. Once again, what is our constraint in the extrusion? If I go in and put brackets on,
The lower arch.
Yep, absolutely. So we've got all these constraints going on in the lower arch.
Mm.
Going one step further, which is really unlikely that she's going to accept that, accept this. But if you had a really high-end cosmetic patient on your hands, really high-end, what else would you be looking at doing? And let's keep going on that path of the aesthetics and the gingival margins.
Grafting?
Well, possibly, but so you're going to have your lateral, you're going to have your canine that looks like a lateral, but now you're going to have your premolar looking very low.
Yes. Yes. You'd have to have gingivectomy to make this canine look more bulbous,
Or
like showing.
Or what would be better, because remember you're talking about the CEJ here. So if your CEJ is in the right position and you go ahead and do a gingivectomy, you're now exposing your root of the tooth, correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
So what else could you do? In the same principle that we just talked about with the upper canines of extruding.
I could extrude it.
We could intrude.
No, intrude it. Sorry, intrude it and then put a crown on it.
Exactly. So we could change our bracket position to put the brackets on the upper premolars very incisal, intrude that tooth significantly, and then put a crown on there.
Yeah.
And we make that now the canine and give that as much as possible lateral guidance.
Yeah.
Because you're probably also going to need to take away the palatal cusp of that tooth as well.
Yeah.
Because as they go into lateral excursions, you don't want any balancing interferences, which you would have with the palatal cusp still there.
How critical is it to get rid of the palatal cusp in this instance on the premolar? If she's not highly aesthetic, but then, obviously I'm bringing together these canines.
I don't think it's critical, but you may want to just reduce it a little bit, I think, just to get it out of the balancing interference.
Yeah, okay.
It depends on how much you believe in your functional occlusion with TMJ issues and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if she's experiencing no discomfort and no issues, you may not do anything.
Yeah.
But you want to have that in the back of your mind and plan for it.
And warn her.
Yeah, and warn her. And then it's the old promise less, deliver more routine.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So that's that part. Okay. When you take out both upper laterals, you're going to get a much better cosmetic result with providing symmetry in this situation. Okay.
Yeah.
And I've done this many, many times. So it's not a bad option. But now you've got the constraint of the lower arch. So one, we know that we're going to need to level that lower curvus B. You've got a curvus B in there. We're going to need to intrude those lower anterior teeth a little bit, okay, and upright the posteriors to help level that curvus B, to help open the bite. But what else do we've still got that constraint.
Yes.
So what else?
So would capitalizing on the gaps at the back help?
Well, that
and close some of it.
That could be one option. It's going to be very difficult to close, okay, but it's definitely an option here, okay. And why I say it's difficult, it's going to be difficult to close, okay, is twofold. So if you have a look at the OPG, okay, you've already got measly inclined lower molars.
Yes.
So as we put any force system on there, they're going to want to tip further.
Yeah.
Okay. So we have to upright those. Okay. First, and with bracket positioning. So we'll tip those molar tubes a little bit more to the gingival to help to upright those, which would be very useful in the future if she wanted restorative work anyway.
Yes.
Yeah. So we can get these roots all quite parallel. But that's one option. Okay. And
is it very uprightable because there's no tooth distal to that for us to opposite force?
That'll be very uprightable. Yeah.
Okay.
Because what we'll also do is put a little coil spring in there as well to help upright it.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
But that's going to make the space worse. Okay. Yeah. In other words, that's going to increase the space.
Yeah, that would. Yep.
Okay. So, but yeah, that's all uprightable. And look, she's not she doesn't seem to be a highly demanding aesthetic patient here. Okay.
No.
So that's definitely one option. But the but here is you can't start, so okay. So what is going to be your reference arch in this case?
The lower.
Exactly. So we've got to get the lower done as quickly as possible before we can really start doing the upper.
Mm.
Okay. So if we're going to start to close these significant lower spaces, we could be 12 months into the treatment before we're ready to do anything on the upper, in all honesty here.
Okay.
Okay. So what else can we do which may be a quicker option for you?
Quicker option.
Okay,
take out a lower central, like a lower
awesome. Yeah.
incisor. Yeah.
Yeah. Possibly that lower left central. Okay.
Yeah.
And I say that because you've got them flipped. You've got them.
Yeah, it is flipped. Sorry.
But the root of that lower left central is more lingual, and the hardest thing we have is to move roots.
Mm.
Okay, that's the hardest thing. That's why fixing up these upper laterals would be really difficult as well, because we've got to do a lot of buccal root torque with these cases.
Yeah.
Okay, so we could take out one lower incisor, and so we take out one, and we can then use that and some of the space posteriorly to retract the lowers to get the overjet.
Yeah.
Okay. Now the problem that we have is as we close that space, what else is going to happen?
Well, the teeth are going to retrocline.
That's right. What else?
As we close the space,
So
we didn't have too much space. We're going to end up with too much. No.
Well, you probably won't because in this case.
Yeah. Yeah.
But what happens when teeth retrocline? What else happens?
Oh, we deepen the curve of spee.
Yeah. So we're going to deepen the bite. Here we are. We need to open that bite.
It's a conundrum.
Well, it is. Yep. Manita, you're doing very well here. Manita's answering these questions exactly correctly. Okay. So here we are. So in our planning process, what do we do? Here we are. We want to open the bite.
Yeah.
At the same time.
Would an intrusion arch help?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we can look at an intrusion arch. We can place it. We can place some reverse curve of spee in our arch wires once we get into the TMA or stainless steel wires.
Yeah.
Okay. And we show you all of that in module 6. But we could take out those two upper laterals. We can start work on the lower arch. And I'd probably still take out the two upper laterals anyway.
Yeah.
Okay. Now,
we would never consider keeping the other lateral, would we? Because just from a movement point of view, but also if we did, then the midline would shift.
Exactly right. I think we would end up with a real cosmetic nightmare.
Yeah.
And you've already got a slant of those upper centrals anyway. So a unilateral extraction is probably going to make that worse.
Yeah.
So I don't believe that taking out one lateral would be very worthwhile here.
Yeah. And had she said, had that other tooth been okay restoratively, the 2-2.
Yep.
And then we were like, okay, we're going to bring everything into the arch.
Yeah. So okay, perfect. Yep. Well, we'll get onto that scenario in a couple of seconds.
Okay. Yeah. Sure.
Because I think that's a really interesting scenario to run as well. So the other thing, though, we're going to need is bite turbos.
Yes.
Okay, and you don't really you could put the bite turbos on the upper centrals, but also I would probably put them here on the upper second molars, because what you want to also try to do is intrude these lower second molars. See how the lower second molars have, with that curve of speed.
Yes.
So I would be putting your bite turbos on the occlusal of your upper second molars, and that will help open the bite and allow us to do some of these movements.
So you know how normally we would say if it's a deep bite, we should never put the bite turbos on the sixes?
On the sixes, exactly right.
But even though she's missing her lower six, it's still not an issue to just put it on the first molar that we actually know. It would be. We can't put it on the lower ones.
I always, when I put posterior bite turbos on, the easiest is to put them on just the occlusal of the uppers.
Okay. So you don't put them on the lowers?
No, because your lowers are going to contact the occlusal of the uppers.
Yes, of course.
And it's a lot easier. You just basically make it just totally flat on the uppers.
Yeah.
It's a much easier way to do it than trying to build up the buccal cusp only of the lower.
Yeah. Okay.
And if you build up the buccal cusp only of the lower, you're more likely. Oh no, that wouldn't be too much of a problem here, because as you intrude that molar, you're going to get some buccal flaring occurring as well, which is what you want. Okay. But from that biomechanical, any type of intrusive force is going to, if it's anterior to the centre of resistance of that molar, is going to flare that buccally.
So if I want to put bite turbos on molars, I should try and always put them on the uppers, not the lowers.
Yeah, that's what I do routinely, yeah.
Yeah.
But I would do it on the 7. See, the 6, let's say the 6 was there, right?
Yes.
That would actually, the curve of speed
would deepen even more.
Exactly. And you can get away with putting bite turbos on the second molars in these deep bites, because usually the second molars have over erupted, and you've got this. That's where the curve of speed is. Okay, because you've got to keep thinking the principle of leveling that curve of speed, which will be some intrusion of those posterior teeth, and usually the posterior teeth are the 4, 5s, and 6s which have been intruded.
Yeah.
And the 7s usually are a little bit over erupted. That's why you've got that deep curve of speed.
So, Jeff, just going back, the two options for the lower arch, one option is to try and capitalise on the fact that we've already got spaces there, upright the molars and all that sort of stuff, and then try and close some of that gap. The other one is to take out a lower incisor. In your opinion, which one, I mean, obviously the lower incisor one is easier, I'm guessing, but there's more technical things that we have to sort of look out for, whereas the molar one it takes longer, it's more time consuming.
Yeah, but I think taking, in this case, for what you're trying to achieve, I think taking out a lower incisor in addition is going to be far more predictable.
Okay, yeah.
Because you're going to get that space more anteriorly, more quicker and more predictable. If you're relying just on getting the space from the posterior segment,
yes,
you might be really struggling.
Would I be able to try and get the space from the posterior first? I'm just feeling like she's having a lot of teeth extracted.
Yeah, I know. But remember, you remember, what I would be doing here is I would be doing some digital setups.
Yes, and that was the other thing, because I think she wanted to see a digital setup of how it would look.
Exactly, but yeah.
That was why I got the trial scan through, but I haven't put anything on there because I didn't know how to explain to you that the incisors were going to be removed. I probably should have just typed in there, but I wasn't sure if I would take both out or just one. But
no, I'd take both out. I would, when I say digital setup, our software for the indirect bonding is not that great at doing these proper digital setups. Okay. They're really designed for bracket placement.
Okay.
I use a different software which we haven't shown you.
Yeah.
But we will in module 5 of how I do the digital setups, because when you do a digital setup, you need to hold teeth in certain positions, because otherwise you're just doing a denture setup and everything looks fine.
Mm.
Okay, so what I would be doing here, so I would be leaving my lower molars where they are.
Yeah.
Okay, and so I can figure out then how much space will I need? How much space will I need to move those lower molars forward? And I would be asking the technicians to do this on plaster models.
Okay.
Okay, okay, and I would be doing the digital setup with, and basically you only need you need like 1.5 digital setups, because you can use the same upper setup for both.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, because you're going to be closing the space in the upper. Okay. The other reason why you need a digital setup here, or I call it a digital setup, a diagnostic setup, is you're taking out a lower incisor, and you're taking out 2 upper laterals. So you've got a Bolton discrepancy.
Yes.
That you're inducing. So you want to see what that buccal occlusion should end up with, because it's not going to be your typical class 1 canine.
Yeah.
So when you talk about critical path to success, in this case, it won't be the class 1 canine.
Yeah.
We're going to have to look at what tooth is it going to be for that. You know, it could be the class 1 premolar into your lower canine. I don't know until we see the diagnostic setup.
Yeah.
So that's what I would be suggesting. So you say, okay, on the upper arch, I want you to extract the upper laterals, okay, and I want you to close the space, but I want you to do it by 50% moving the posterior teeth forwards, and 50% by moving the upper anterior teeth backwards.
Okay. Yeah.
Because that will be a realistic setup. Okay, and tell them to leave the upper first molars on the model.
Yeah.
Okay, that way you'll know that they've moved, how far they've moved that posterior segment forwards.
Yeah.
There'll be a gap there.
Yeah.
Okay, and on the lower we do the same. We're going to leave the lower molars lower second molars, and you're going to do 2 setups. One on the lower, one with just moving all the lower arch back. Okay, by utilizing the space. Okay.
Yeah.
Because if it says to me, I've got to move those lower anterior teeth back, that I'm going to close 5 millimeters of that space, that could be a lot. And then you're going to do a setup with taking out a lower incisor, as well as closing up some of that lower posterior spaces.
Okay, so really, I shouldn't finalise my treatment plan until I've seen the setup, is what you're saying, because that will tell us whether or not that incisor in the bottom, for example, definitely needs to be removed.
Exactly right. Exactly.
And would I do that through, like, I know you're talking about talking to the technicians and all that.
Yeah.
Is that something which through the Smilefast portal?
No, I would do that. I would do that directly with the lab. Okay. But not the lab that you're utilising.
Okay.
Okay.
So you'll recommend one for me? Yeah,
I would recommend I would recommend arch form again.
Okay. Yeah. That's fine.
But get Ari to speak to just tell Ari if there's any questions. Call Jeff.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Cool. And I can catch up with Ari and go through it with him.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, but just say just tell him he must call me.
Yeah.
Okay, because this is really important to get the proper diagnostic setup to make it viable in our treatment planning.
Okay.
So your next question is, okay, your next, and I would extrude those upper. We'll get him to extrude the upper canines as well.
Yeah.
Okay, and so your next question is, let's say this patient had perfect teeth.
Yeah.
Okay, and you wanted to bring in the upper laterals.
Yes.
Okay. Now we've got a different issue on our hands.
Well, the lower arch would still be the constraint.
Exactly right. Exactly. Yep. But also now we come back to what you were talking about right at the beginning, the critical path to success being class 1 canine here.
Yeah.
So we'd have to distalize the upper canines.
Yeah.
So we'd have to distalize the upper canines.
What time's the first patient?
Yeah.
So distalize the upper canine back far enough to then be able to have enough space to bring the upper laterals in.
Yeah.
And that would be a more interesting option, okay? Because you're a little bit class 2, you're about half a unit class 2.
Mm.
Okay? So I would be considering at that point, taking out maybe the upper 5s, just to have enough space to move these teeth back, and closing as much of that space in the lower arch.
Yeah. So it's almost harder work, really, if she had the incisors, they were sound, and she wanted them all perfectly in the arch and everything.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But you know what? The same treatment plan, even if there wasn't caries there, right? If there wasn't caries, you could probably consider the same treatment plan. Because you've still got this, you're still going to have a long-term issue here of bringing in those upper laterals, okay?
Yeah.
And bringing them in to a point where you can get you enough sufficient buccal root torque.
Yeah.
Because that's what's going to take the time. Because if you don't, those teeth will have a great tendency to relapse. People always want to move back to where their root is.
Yes.
So if you did this, have you done many URAs with
No.
with finger springs to correct cross bites?
No, I did that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because people talk about, once it gets over the bite, okay, once it gets over the occlusion, that's your retention, okay? That's not true, because most people are in a rest position most of the time. So they're not actually in occlusion. And some move back and some don't. And the ones that move back are the ones where the roots are in the wrong position.
Yeah.
So if the root was out here lably and you just had a finger spring, that's perfect. You look like a genius. Roots are really palatally positioned. You've got to spend your time moving the roots forward.
Yeah.
So this is where we would flip the bracket upside down, okay, and add labial root torque to these cases. But it takes a lot of time. So my feeling was, even if you didn't have caries there, I would still probably consider taking out the upper laterals.
Okay. So really, in terms of length of treatment as well, just going backtrack.
Yep.
If we remove the lower incisors, we'd still be the lower incisor as part of the treatment plan. We would still be expecting a good sort of head start, wouldn't we, for that to all happen?
Absolutely.
Would you say 6 months?
What's that for?
For the lowers before you can start the uppers.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say so. And the other thing, so you put your bite turbos on, you would do a deep bite setup on the lower arch.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we can try and intrude those lower anterior teeth.
Yeah.
And then once we've got enough overjet and we've improved that overbite, we start on the uppers. The uppers will be really straightforward once we get rid of those constraints. Okay.
Yeah. So I did say to her about 24 months of treatment. That's obvious.
Yeah. You should definitely do that within 24 months.
Okay.
Okay.
Beautiful.
But I'd work on the lower arch first, but I think we need to get the right diagnosis or the right treatment approach here.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Thank you.
But that's a really, really interesting case.
Yeah. I thought so.
Yeah. But your thought process was very good indeed.
Oh, thank you. I'm getting there.
Oh, you are. But it's all just principles. Honestly, orthodontics, as you know, has been kept as a big secret. But there's nothing of any great brain power once you understand the principles. Truthfully. And I bet you there would be, I guarantee you there would be orthodontists out there that go, oh, okay, we'll take out the upper laterals and we'll close the space, and all they're doing is hitting the lower anterior teeth.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they go, oh, well, we can't do that. See, one of your great get-out clauses here is telling her that she might need 4 veneers.
Yeah.
Because that way you can mask the size of teeth. Let's say you can't close up all the space. You can mask the size with some build-ups.
Yeah.
As a worst scenario.
Yeah. Mm.
Yeah. But I think it's a great case, Beck. I think it's a fantastic case.
Wonderful. Thanks, Jeff. I've got to get going.
No, that's fine. So do I.
Thanks for your time.
No, that's a pleasure. Have a great day, guys, and thanks for your time.
Will do. Thank you.
Okay. See you guys.
Bye.
Nick, colours for the patient available.